Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Terry Stiles.
And I'm Alexis Ware, and this week's news is a 5-story downtown building a possibility. Trail Council greenlights Trumpeter Swan Rescue, and Troop 366 launches 43rd Eagle Scout.
Stay tuned and learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. According to code, no building in downtown Oxford is taller than 3 stories. Glenn Pape, Executive Director of the Downtown Development Authority, confirmed this could change. While there are no applications or site plans for a formal review, Pape has been talking with a development group interested in constructing a 5-story building on a vacant piece of land in the northwest quadrant. The proposed number of residential units has not been mentioned, but Pape said he is excited about the prospect of adding so many people to downtown's residential population. The site considered is an empty 7,500 square foot lot located between Healthy Smile Center and Sisters Hair Care. The proposed plan would like to make that both apartments and storefronts.
An Oxford Village proposed draft on an ordinance to regulate recreational or adult use marijuana businesses is heading to a legal eagle for review. After another lengthy round of discussions last month, planning commissioners agreed to send ordinance language to Village Attorney Bob Davis for analysis and advice. Village Planner Mario Ortiga said he thought the proposed language represented a pretty good first shot to regulate this type of new business at a local level, but commissioners would have to wait and see what the lawyer thinks of it. The proposed ordinance further empowers the Planning Commission to revoke a marijuana establishment's special land use permit if it's found to have more than one violation. Prior to revocation, the commission would be required to hold a public hearing.
Concerned citizens and government officials are working together to help a young swan with a permanent deformity that will most likely lead to its death if it's not removed from the wild. The deformity, known as angel wing, where its flight feathers are splayed, prohibits the swan from flight. Last week, the Pollyant Trail Management Council voted unanimously to allow the Howell Nature Center to extract a trumpeter swan cygnet so it can be treated and relocated to a place where it can be cared for and protected. If the rescue efforts are a success, the young swan will be placed somewhere it can serve as an ambassador bird that teaches the general public about angel wing and how to help prevent it by not feeding human food to waterfowl.
Local residents had their fill of brews and eats at the first ever Oktoberfest. The event took place in Centennial Park, where guests could be seen enjoying live music and local food and brew. It was an abnormally warm day for it being late September that didn't stop visitors from checking out this local spin of an international festival. Guests were able to enjoy food from 5-1 Diner, the Ox Bar and Grill, Victoria's, Vendetti's Pizza and Pasta, Evergreen's Coffee and Bake Shop, the Oxford Tap, and 925 Social, the Homegrown Brewing Co. and Gravel Capital. The idea of Oktoberfest came from Pastor Max Schuler, lead pastor of Holy Cross Lutheran Church. The main purpose of the festival was to raise funds for Love in the Name of Christ Love Inc. of North Oakland County, a nonprofit serving residents and the area.
Oxford Township resident Aaron Curtis bagged his first black bear while hunting on private land near Alpena last month. Field dressed, the bear weighed nearly 160 pounds. Curtis recorded a video of the whole experience and sent it to the television show Michigan Out of Doors and was told it will air this week, Thursday at 8 p.m. on WTVS Detroit Public TV Channel 56. And we will air a copy of the program in the next couple of weeks. Congratulations.
Another Eagle Scout recently emerged from Troop 366. Max Charleston just became the 43rd member of the troop to become an Eagle Scout, the highest rank attainable in Boy Scouts of America program. Charleston began scouting in the first grade while attending Daniel Axford Elementary, and a few years later made the decision that he was going to become an Eagle Scout one day. In order to become an Eagle Scout, one must be active as a Life Scout for 6 months while serving in a position of responsibility, earn at least 12 merit badges, go through a board review process and plan, develop and lead a service project that helps a school, community, or religious organization. According to the Boy Scouts of America website, Charlton says he took over the mile marker project from Pollyann Trail manager Linda Morin, who originally spoke with him about possibly doing an Eagle project on the Pollyann Trail. Ultimately, Charlton ended up raising approximately $2,000 for the project and completed all 16 miles of the trail. The mile markers installed consisted of eco-friendly composite material and not only told hikers where they were at, but also which trail they were on. Prior to the installation of the new markers, the old markers did not cover the length of the trail, so Charleston's effort helped improve the journey for trail users. Friends, families, loved ones, and fellow scouts attended the ceremony to honor all the hard work and dedication that Charlton had put in over the years as a scout.
Opportunities for Oxford students to participate in a sport have moved beyond bats and balls to bows and arrows. Oxford Competitive Archery, a club open to students in grades 6 through 12, is now meeting and shooting at the range inside Beyond the Ears every Monday. Middle school members meet from 3:15 to 4:30 p.m., while high school members gather from 4:30 to 6:30. The club offers students a safe and supervised environment to learn about archery, practice the sport, and have fun. No prior archery knowledge or experience is necessary to join, nor are prospective members required to own any equipment. Bows, arrows, and targets are provided.
And that's Oxford News for this week. If you would like to learn more about these stories and others, pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, you can catch us on our website at OCCTV.org, on YouTube, and of course your regular cable channel Spectrum 191 or AT&T Channel 99.
Coming up is OCTV's very own Cody Wright with school sports, school news with Alexis Ware, and don't miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Alexis Ware. Thanks for watching Oxford News this week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Terry Stiles. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, a space station will have fallen from the sky by now. The Chinese station Tiangong-2 was scheduled to drop out of orbit on July 19th and fall into the Pacific Ocean between New Zealand and Chile. Tiangong-2, which translates as Heavenly Palace, was launched in September of 2016, and it was never intended to be a permanent fixture in orbit. Instead, its purpose was to test technologies for China's larger planned space station, whose main module is scheduled to launch in 2020. That space station is planned to be about 1/5 the size of the International Space Station. Tiangong-2 is far smaller. In 2018, Tiangong-2 began to lower its orbit to prepare for the end of its mission. On July 19th, it fired its thrusters again to aim its descent towards the Pacific Ocean. Most of the craft probably burned up as it entered the atmosphere, but any parts that survived should have splashed into the water harmlessly. The space station was still fully functional and was being brought down purposely now that it's finished the experiments it was launched to carry out. This will avoid the fate of its predecessor, Tiangong-1, which lost power in April of 2018 and crashed down in an uncontrolled fashion. Its remains also fell into the ocean, but that was pure luck. This time, Chinese officials made sure that their space station hit water. Okay. In our next story, as the climate warms, Lyme disease is spreading. To assess the risk of catching the infection in new areas, we need to be able to track the ticks that carry it. Now, an analysis of veterinary records suggests dogs are the answer. Lyme disease can lead to heart failure or paralysis, but we don't monitor how many people come into contact with the bacterium that causes it. We don't screen ourselves for exposure, says Jenna Gettings at the University of Georgia. The only time people are tested for tick-borne disease is when they have symptoms. Whereas with dogs, we screen healthy animals. In the U.S., pet dogs are tested for Lyme disease at yearly health checks, and their data is reported to a central database. It's currently possible to share veterinary records widely, as these don't have the same kind of privacy concerns as human health data, says Gettings. She and her colleagues analyzed data from about 16.5 million dog screening tests, resulting in 2012 to 2016. The test detects if dogs have produced antibodies to Borrelia burgdorferi, the Lyme-causing bacteria that can be passed to animals and people in tick bites. Because dogs tend to go to the same places as their owners, their data should reveal where people are at the most risk of contracting the disease. When the team compared the dog data with the reported rates of Lyme disease in humans during the same 5-year period, they found an association between the two. In counties where 0 to 10% of dogs screened positive for B. burgdorferi, the exposure, there was a rapid increase in human incidence of Lyme disease. In areas where 10 to 30% of dogs screened positive, human rates also rose, but more slowly. In areas where more than a third of dogs encountered the bacterium, there was no link between dog and human data. We don't fully understand why the association drops off, says Gettings. It may be that we don't have a ton of data at that level. Thankfully, not many counties in the U.S. have such high level of dog exposure to the bacterium, she says. Because vets mostly test dogs at annual checkups, this data can't tell us how Lyme disease is changing over short periods of time. It also can't take into account when a pet dog contracted Lyme disease outside of their home county. Nevertheless, the team found that the data could be used to build a model that helps predict when Lyme disease may be spreading. Where the value of this analysis seems to be the greatest is in the sort of leading edge of the range of Lyme disease, says Rick Ostfeld at Tufts University in Massachusetts. In places where incidence is low, it may be that the dog data is a good sentinel for us. In places where Lyme disease is endemic in the U.S., the Northeast and the upper Midwest, public health officials and doctors make people aware of their risk and give advice on how to avoid tick bites. But people living in counties where Lyme disease hasn't historically been a problem may be caught unawares as ticks and the diseases they carry spread into their area. This new model could give people a much-needed warning, says Ostfeld. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
Has your child swallowed household cleaner, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline to speak with medical professionals who can give you free personal advice anytime. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Score News. I'm Alexis Ware. This week is a really exciting week, but before we get into that, here's a quick recap of last week's events. Last Tuesday, September 24th, Oxford High School had their academic awards, and there also was a Board of Education meeting at Leonard Elementary School. Wednesday, September 25th, Oxford Elementary School had their anti-bullying assembly. Oxford Middle School had their back-to-school bash and football game. Friday, elementary schools district-wide had early releases following Lakeville Elementary's Wildcat Run. Saturday, OMS hosted their Color Run fundraiser, and to end the week on Sunday, OHS had their starter for homecoming week with the annual Powder Puff football game. This week continues the spirit of homecoming throughout the district. A list of Oxford Middle School's Spirit Days can be found on Oxford School's site, so tune into that for any questions and concerns about the days coming up. Thursday, October 3rd, Daniel Axford has their PTO Fun Run fundraiser. And on October 3rd and 4th, Lakeville Elementary is having their 5th grade camp. Friday, October 5th is also a big day for more than just the 5th graders at Lakeville, but for the district. Starting at 8:15 a.m., Daniel Axford students are meeting at Centennial Park on 41 South Washington Street for International Walk to School Day. Oxford Elementary School has a fun run starting at 3. The homecoming parade kicks off at 5, and the homecoming football game begins directly after. Saturday continues homecoming in Oxford as high schoolers prepare for the big night. Homecoming starts at 7 that day for the Oxford High School students in the gymnasium. OHS is hosting SAT at 7:30 until 1 p.m. before the dance begins. If interested in that event, register at collegeboard.org. The last event for Saturday, October 5th, is happening at Kingsbury Country Day School with their October Fast 5K. Wonderful play on words as Kingsbury encourages students and parents to get up, come out, and get active for the start of October. Both Saturday and Sunday for the rest of the month of October, Upland Hills Farm will be hosting their Farm Harvest Festival starting at 10 each day. Saturday and Sunday, that is. They offer donuts, cider, farm shows, and magic shows. Times vary at a variety of times, so be sure to check those out. To find out more information about those days, visit uplandhillsfarm.com. Before we go, if you missed the September 24th board meeting, here's a short clip from it.
Still early in the year, as you know, we had a construction project over the summer, which required us to pack up most of the school, and we got in just as school got started and started being unpacked, and we've been get everything back to normal now. So within the first few weeks of school, it feels like we're finally back to really know where everything is again. So Tony and his guys have been doing a great job of being responsive to any needs we run into. We did take a chance to look at our survey data as staff, and some of the things that stood out as we were looking at this was that our parents strongly agree that they would recommend Leonard Elementary to family members in the school, so that was encouraging for us. Overall, we had favorable ratings for the high standards and expectations for learning. 100% strongly agree that families are encouraged to attend school activities. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. We also got high marks for safety and security. One thing that did stand out was over 25% of our parents surveyed said our career development goal was added to our school improvement plan. Teachers will receive collaboration time, resources, and training to develop career readiness activities for students. And when I first heard this, I thought, wow, that's kind of strange to be doing career readiness with kindergartners. But the more I looked into it, the more we kind of...
That was the Board of Ed meeting on September 24th at Leonard Elementary School. The next one will be held next week on October 8th at its regular time of 6 p.m. Check for the specific place the board meeting will be held because it is changing every single meeting, so be sure to check into that. But that about does it for school news for this week. Next up is Cody Wright with School Sports.
What's happening, Wildcat fans? Cody Wright back here with this week's sports report. We've got a lot to go over this week, so let's not waste any more time and dive right in. First off, the boys football team had a rough go at it in their home opener last Friday, taking on Lake Orion. Oxford fell behind early in the first half, down by 3 touchdowns, and that was by halftime. The game ended at 35-0. Head coach Bud Rowley said Lake Orion is a very fine team and they played a very fine game. Like I've said before, every team has its tougher seasons in high school sports. Last year we had a great season and then we graduated some very key players, so there is no doubt that we will continue to get better from here. Also, the boys soccer team is tied for 5th in the OAA White Division at a record of 2-2 with a total of 6 points. The boys got 3 big points in a 3-1 win over Seaholm. The boys then turned around and took it to Flushing in a 6-2 win and then furthered their winning streak to 3 as they took down Walled Lake Western to a final score of 3-1. They're on a good streak now with the momentum on their side. It will be tough for upcoming competitors that get in their way to moving up in the standings. Also, the girls swim and dive team beat Rochester 123-63, taking first place in all 12 events. Grace Scharnstrom, Jenna Fissler, and Callie Schnur all grabbed 2 events victoriously. Now the girls have a standing record of 4-0, sitting at the very top of the OAA White Division, 1 game ahead of Lake Orion. The girls team also hosted the Wildcat Diving Invitational, in which 27 divers competed from 5 schools. Novi took home the title. Oxford did finish 3rd place. And lastly, the boys tennis team is still undefeated. The boys took on Avondale, which has been their toughest match so far this season. However, they found a way, and by the end of it came out on top 5-3. This moved the boys to a record of 7-0-1 overall, 3-0 in the OAA, and 3-1 in league play. The boys followed that by taking on Farmington on the road and added to the win column once more with a final score of 5-3. The record now sits at 8-0-1. And that's all for this week's report. For any more info on these events and more, go to oxfordathletics.org. There's plenty of game breakdowns, statistics, schedules, all right there for you to check out. Once again, that is oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at OCCTV.org. All of our coverage of these events and more can be found on our YouTube page, which you can access through the website. Once again, that is OCCTV.org. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, the 2020 Corvette Stingray looks to be one of the most technically advanced vehicles General Motors has built since it tested the world's first fuel cell vehicle in 1966 and 5 years later built the propulsion and suspension system for the lunar rover that drives on the moon. The new Corvette, introduced July 18th, is a barometer of GM engineering in an era of rapidly changing technology. If the Corvette launches cleanly with no technical issues, from adopting GM's new wire-reducing digital electrical architecture, its advanced lightweight mixed material chassis that uses die-cast aluminum parts made in an engine factory, the electric brakes, and other innovations, it could bode well for GM as it pushes closer to production of fully autonomous vehicles, which will share some of the same technologies with the new Corvette. And most important, the retooled Corvette's computer systems and the speed with which they communicate internally and externally will determine how seamlessly GM transitions to autonomous vehicles and the vast amount of data processing they require. Chevrolet officials ticked off a list of high-tech items in the new Corvette. They include a new version of Chevrolet's classic small block V8 engine. The naturally aspirated engine is rated at 495 horsepower and 470 pounds-feet of torque. When the Corvette is equipped with an optional performance package, it can propel the car to 60 miles per hour in less than 3 seconds, the fastest base model Corvette in history. Chevrolet's first 8-speed dual-clutch transmission, a gearbox manufactured by Tremec that allows the driver to shift the car manually or drive it as an automatic. The performance shift algorithms are so driver-focused they can sense when you are doing spirited driving regardless of driving mode and will hold lower gears longer for more throttle response, said Taj Jeter, Corvette Executive Chief Engineer. A re-engineered suspension system that features coil-over dampers also was featured, with revised electric steering and the Corvette's first electric brake system, which eliminates the vacuum-powered brake booster. That has been replaced with an electronic unit that can be tuned and adjusted for different driving conditions. Other suspension features include a system that automatically raises the front of the car by about 1.5 inches to protect the lower bodywork from damage by potholes, speed bumps, and steep driveways. It can also be programmed to operate through GPS and store as many as 1,000 locations. The digital vehicle platform that is the bedrock for GM's future electronics technologies, and GM says it reduces wiring and allows for faster signal transmission between different vehicle systems. The new Corvette uses what GM calls the Bedford Six. They are 6 high-pressure die-cast aluminum components that minimize the number of joints in the chassis. Fewer joints leads to a stiffer body, which improves handling, especially under strenuous track conditions. The aluminum parts are made at GM's Bedford, Indiana powertrain plant. Because there is no engine between the front wheels, the cockpit has been moved forward by 16.5 inches over the outgoing Corvette. Ultra-thin air conditioning vents help lower the instrument cluster, which contains a 12-inch reconfigurable display. A long strip of buttons between the seats on the center consoles controls the seats, an HVAC system, and other items. The car has 2 trunks and can transport 2 golf bags or luggage. Cargo room totals about 12.8 cubic feet. Though final pricing has not been set and the car can now be reserved, GM President Mark Royce said the 2020 Corvette will be priced below $60,000, and that's well below that of rivals such as the Audi R8 and BMW i8. Wow. And on the recall front, Nissan Motor Company recalled more than 91,000 Titan full-size pickups over an electrical short that can cause an engine stall. The recall notice, which covers some 2017 to 2019 Titans, says the alternator harness could have been damaged during the engine installation process. A damaged harness contacting metal frame can result in an electrical short. This condition may prevent the battery from charging, and over time the battery would lose voltage, causing the vehicle's electrical components to flicker and turn off, a statement from Nissan said. The vehicle will operate at reduced power, and if the condition worsens, an engine stall may occur while driving. In a worst-case scenario, the short may result in a localized thermal incident. Nissan said in an emailed statement to Automotive News that recalled vehicles would be inspected and, if necessary, damaged alternator harnesses would be repaired. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways.
Hi, I'm Danielle Smith, and welcome to your weekly calendar, where I share the events and activities in your community. So listen up and take notes. Here we go. The Oxford Chamber of Commerce is hosting the Oxford Business and Health Expo this Sunday, September 29th at Boulder Point Golf Club. Come and see what local businesses have to offer, and you may even win some prizes. If you are interested in being a vendor, go to oxfordchamber.net and click on the Events tab. There is limited space for vendors, so make sure to claim your spot soon. Oxford Township Parks and Recreation is hosting a Jack-o'-lantern Jamboree on Saturday, October 26th. Head over to Oakwood Lake Park, located at 550 East Oakwood Road at 11 a.m. Enjoy nature trails, hay rides, cider, donuts, a pumpkin from the Great Pumpkin Patch, and candy and other tokens from Trick or Treat Trail. Guests are encouraged to come dressed in their Halloween costumes. For ticket information, visit the Oxford Parks and Recreation Department, located at 2795 Seymour Lake Road, right next to OCTV, or call 248-628-1720. Tickets must be purchased in advance, so get yours soon. Have you thought about adding a little one to your family? The four-legged kind, that is. Canine Stray Rescue League is a local rescue that hosts adoption events the first and third Saturday of each month at Petco in Auburn Hills, located at 4820 South Baldwin Road. Come out and meet these furry friends that could soon be a part of your family. For every adoption, Petco makes a donation to Canine, and adopters are given a Petco coupon book filled with discounts on all of your pet needs. For more information, kennel hours, and to view their donation wish list, go to caninestray.com or call 248-628-0435. The annual Scarecrow Festival isn't too far away. Come on out to Centennial Park on October 12th. Walk along Washington Street and admire the creative scarecrows that local businesses have placed outside their doors. Feel free to get in on the action yourself with your own homemade scarecrow. Enjoy different activities, games, contests, food, and live music. This is a family-friendly event where kids are encouraged to come dressed in their Halloween costumes and go trick-or-treating at local businesses. There will also be inflatables and a hay maze. We can't forget about the chili cook-off, where downtown restaurants will compete to see who has the best recipe. If you are looking to get in on the Scarecrow action, head over to thevillageofoxford.org and click on the Downtown Life tab to register and get a complete list of rules for the free Scarecrow competition. The Scarecrow Festival is October 12th from 11 to 3 p.m. The Oxford Chamber of Commerce is holding their next new member orientation on October 15th from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Guests are invited to the Oxford Community Room, located at 22 West Burdick Street. Learn how to make the Chamber work for you while getting any questions you may have answered. Topics covered include requesting ribbon cuttings, sponsorship opportunities, registering for events, and more. Have you ever wondered what Oxford was like before our time? If so, join the Northeast Oakland Historical Society and Museum for the Oxford Cemetery Tour. Stories of Old Oxford on October 6th. Hear from the past to understand the present as you experience community members dressed in costume, relaying stories of prominent figures in Oxford history that helped shape the town to what it is now. Guests will meet at the Northeast Oakland Historical Museum, located at 1 North Washington, from 1 to 4 p.m. For ticket information, contact the Northeast Oakland Historical Museum at 248-628-8413. Do you have the inside scoop on an event you think the community should know about? If so, we want to hear from you. Contact the studio at 248-628-9658 or email us at manager@occtv.org. That's a wrap for your weekly calendar. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and YouTube to stay up to date on all things going on in your community. I'm Danielle Smith. See you next time.